What if the thing driving your success was the very thing disconnecting you from your family, your purpose, and your peace? What if chasing deals costs you your soul? Well, in this episode, we're talking with a former pro athlete turned sales leader who built a high-performing coaching company, and then he hit pause. He paused to realign with his values. He paused to redefine his wins. And he decided to put God back in the center of his business and his family. From growing up in construction to the minor leagues to building the sales transformational group, Ryan Groth has done what many entrepreneurs never do. He stopped selling performance and he started building with purpose. So this is not just about closing more deals. This is about becoming someone your family, your team, and your father can trust. Rather, the baseline selling, and I'm excited for you to be able to watch this in the episode today. So if you've ever asked yourself, is my hustle honoring God? What does that look like? Can I build big without losing what matters the most? Or how do I lead my family? How do I lead my business with the same integrity without ever giving up anything? If you've ever asked any of those questions or want to know the baseline strategy of sales process, then this episode is for you. The School of Influence, where legends are made and legacies are started. Interviews and insights to grow your impact on social media, networking, and stages. Class is now in session. We're gonna take on the world. Hey, welcome everybody. I'm your host, Devin Schubert, also known as the Man in Orange. And man, am I excited for today's session with the School of Influence. Because today's guest is a former pro baseball player turned business sales coach. He grew up in the construction industry. He built a high growth coaching company and has helped hundreds of sales teams turn their chaos into culture. But that's not actually the full reason to why he's here. He's here because somewhere along the way, he actually stopped chasing sales and started chasing obedience. From prioritizing prayer over performance to teaching his team how to lead with character before commission. See, Ryan Groth is redefining what it really means to win. So help me welcome to the show my friend, Ryan Groth. All right, welcome my friend, Ryan. Hey, my man, good to see you.
Hey, what's up, Devin?
Man, I'm excited for this conversation. And, you know, when it comes to understanding the obstacles of sales that people have in their perspective, when it comes to the busyness of life, you know, you've done a lot of different things. You've done the athlete, you've done the sales, you've done the founder of businesses. But was there really a specific moment where the whole hustle thing stopped and you wanted to kind of shift to, what is God really calling me to do? Well, pardon the interruption, but let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like your story was meant to impact thousands or millions of lives, but you literally just didn't know where to start? Did you know that there's over 2.9 billion people watching social media every single day? That's literally the biggest stage in the entire world. And yet most people are completely invisible on it. Why? Because they don't know how to tell their story in a way that actually connects to other people. And that, my friends, is exactly why I created Stories to Stages. We help you craft your entire story, professionally edit your video, and then we publish it across all major platforms. Plus, I'm going to give you access to my entire storytelling bootcamp. This is over $25,000 worth of value, but right now you can get the entire thing for just $7. $7. Because this isn't just a course, this is a launching pad. We've helped people with no audience, no experience, finally share their story with confidence and to get real reach. Because your story told in the right way involves and moves people. So go to stories2stages.com and grab your $7 spot with the code of podcast1. Your story was not meant to stay silent. So let's get seen, let's get heard, let's get paid, and let's set people free. So go to stories2stages.com, grab your $7 spot, and use the code podcast1 and get yours today. Now, back to the show.
Yeah, great question. I think my first time experiencing that was whenever I was playing pro baseball, and then when that ended, and then I was like, all right, who am I? What's next? I think all athletes have to go through that. And I'm not going to focus on that part because that was just one step in the journey. I think I love these guys, the Helsers. They have this music, Jonathan, David, and Melissa Helser. And they have this tool called the 18-inch journey. That's like the distance between the head to the heart. And I think about that a lot because, I've been walking with Jesus for 22 years, 23 years. And the things that I've remember being, going into my mind and then actually truly believing in my heart and living out on a regular basis, it's taken a while. It's taken a long time for me to transform and learn and grow. So what I would say is that first change was whenever I was playing ball. But over the last several years, I went through a process where I raised some capital. I took on some partners. I took on some big risk and to grow and scale the business. And there was a moment in time where actually before that, we moved to Hawaii, and then I started raising capital. So these two major moves where there was like a lot of risk in the business, and I wasn't doing it conservatively. I was going for it. I think that drive to do whatever that was that I was doing, I do think God allowed it. But I think it also taught me some amazing things about trust. And I think that what I found is that as the Lord has matured me, it's in congruence with the amount of trust I have in Him in my day-to-day beliefs in life. And where you're now no longer thinking, if I don't do the sale or if I don't make these calls, then I'm not XYZ. And instead, it's like I know the Lord, I trust them, and from that place of trust, I operate in a lot of abundance and peace in my day-to-day life, rather than from a place of lack or anxiousness and fear. And because, I think perfect love can cast out fear. It can't exist in the midst of fear. And so knowing you're perfectly loved and knowing that that love comes with provision and also He'll bless the work of your hands when you put the work. That's more of like where I'm trying to live from now, rather than some ascension or some place that the world would deem as was amazing. Instead, I'm like, Lord, I want to just do what you want to do. I'm not going to run out in front of you anymore because I'm not very good at it, and I want you with me.
Yeah. I love that. So let me take it one step further, because you're married, you have a family. And so what did that role look like as you were going all in into entrepreneurship and, being risky and what the world would say with that? How did that play in? And, maybe the fear of what if this doesn't work? I'm providing for my family and all of that.
Yeah. And so I have 6 kids. I've been married this month will be 14 years. So it's been busy, right? Like 6 kids in 14 years and a business. It's a lot going on. And at the time I didn't even realize it was. I was just like going for it, right? I didn't even think it was that much. But now looking back, I'm like, bro, what was I doing? Like I was going hard. And one thing I found is that obviously like you got to pick the right woman or the right partner. Um, I'm super fortunate that my wife's a saint. She's amazing. But what I've found is that as she and I journeyed together and she got to know me and started to see some of my failures, right, too, and started to just see them and see patterns or see things that I've done, and we walk in tandem onto the Lord together. Um, I started to realize she is my best business partner with along with God, and that the two of us are mutually submitted unto one another, unto God. Like it's not here's probably the biggest thing, Devin, is like this whole like I'm a provider. I am the provider as the man can tempt you into saying it's my way. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna take care of us. Yes, noble. Yes, that's awesome. Yes, you should go do the work, right? But still, you could leave your spouse's counsel and unity ultimately, and now you're distant, not unified. and the enemy can come in and try to steal, kill, and destroy it.
Mm-hmm.
So we've seen a few scares there where we're like, dude, are we dropping the D card right now? Is this happening? Totally going through it. I think everybody who's an entrepreneur probably, not everybody, but it happens more often than you think where people either get divorced or talk about it. It was brought up in a side comment once, like it wasn't like a big thing, but it was scary because I'm like, this is more important than anything, right? What am I doing? Where am I going? How fast am I trying to go? Why? What's the reason? What is success? Oh my gosh, who am I? What's life? Ah. So I think that, when you start to slow down enough to just say, hey, Lindsay, my wife's Lindsay, let's let's just submit all these plans unto you and unto me, unto the Lord. And let's be on our face, on our knees, waiting and ready for us to respond to what we both believe is what the Lord is saying. Because when you're trying to go up the hill, dude, of entrepreneurship, you gotta have a support system. You have to have your wife in your corner, cheering you on, asking about this. Hey, I was listening to this podcast, thinking about you on my hike. But there was a moment where, she was on a hike thinking about me and my business struggles.
Hmm.
She came and spoke to me about it on her own personal time about my business. And I'm like, whoa, this is amazing. Like, you are helping me right now. Thank you. Thank you. I needed that. And I'm like, this is what's up. This is why did I go out in front of her before? Why did I go too hard? Why did I do this without really being in agreement with her? Yeah. And so now I'm a lot more unified. It's a long road ahead, I think, to get to where we want to go, but at least it's not going to be at the expense of my family. Yeah. And I think that, a lot of people, a lot of people may not factor all that into the equation.
Yeah. How do you find yourself balancing how much to share? How much I mean, you're not really bringing work home because it's an entire lifestyle, but how much do you kind of put on her of, like, sharing some of the stresses, sharing the wins, but how do you know kind of what those, what to share, what not, how to keep that boundary so it does stay healthy?
Yeah. I mean, like, I think that for a while I didn't share a lot. I just kept it quiet. And, but whenever I started to be a bit more open, I realized what a strong partner she is and what an accountable partner she is. Like, she knows how to hold me accountable to the things that are right. And she can tell me what I need to hear. A lot of founders don't have people in their corner telling them what they need to hear because they're the boss. My wife she knows how to talk to me, and I love that about her. She's incredible. So I love and respect her so much, more than I did in the beginning of our marriage. I would say more, way more. She's amazing. Like, God bless me with a person, that better than I even imagined. So I, I think that we're pretty open these days. In fact, like, with your personal finances, like, you should know your debt. You should know your income. You should have plans for your money. Like, you should know what you're spending money on. You're sharing a checking account. You should know what you're spending money on. I think that when your spouse has an idea what you're doing with the business, you're more accountable. And I think that, that's good for you guys. That's good for the business.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree. When we recognize the power of our family of being that first line of legacy that we have, all the other accomplishments don't matter. And for me, it's my adopted kids and my son who's been in treatment now, and he's on his way home. By the time this airs, he'll be home. He's coming home next week. I'm so excited. I get my senior year with him, and so right now it's been like turning down traveling and speaking engagements because my sole focus is on him. And for a while I struggled, honestly. I know that I'm a good father. I've poured everything into him. But I struggled like, oh my gosh, I've done 4 years of building out this business. And now my whole life's going to change to where I take him to school, I bring him back home, we're going to do activities, counseling, all that type of stuff. It's all going to change. And the Lord said to me, if you trusted me with your son while you built your business, why wouldn't you trust me with your business while you take care of your son? Is that not your first calling? I was like, oh, ouch,
Good work.
man, man. So I want to ask you that, for the leaders out there that are like addicted to the hustle and maybe they're neglecting or maybe on the verge of kind of like teeter tottering on burnout or not spending time with their family, what are some of those early warning signs that it's really time to slow down and focus on God and realign again.
Yeah. I think that if your wife has a permanent like dissatisfaction toward you, that's like almost every day you sense that she's disconnected and not loved, and you're always selling her on something, you're always convincing her on something. Like, dude, that's not a way to be married. Is like always pitching her on the next reason why you got to go to this and that. It's like it's just like you need to do that from time to time, but on average, or you just that's the person you just want to feel the most at home with, the most at peace with. And, you can just be you and turn all and rest with her
Mhm.
or him. Um, I think that, I remember there was times where I was like, "Oh, Lindsay, I forgot I'm flying out tonight." Like, I've done that. "I forgot to tell you, I got a speech somewhere tomorrow." Like, done that. Embarrassing. It's like, "You serious?" Everybody is getting all of your attention but us. Freaking yeah, basically, for life, and it's like teenager level maturity. It's like, come on, bro. Like, so I've done it. I've been there. I've focused on myself and my dreams and my ambitions.
Mhm.
Um, but I think at the end of the day, anything that is an ambition, anything that is um giving you confidence, giving you certainty, giving you comfort, that's not the Lord is an idol. And I think a lot of us, if you have the hustle and you're addicted to it, you have an idol.
Mm.
You're an idol worshiping person. Sounds harsh, but like that's what got my attention. I'm like, wait a second. There's some figurative metal statue in my life that I'm bowing to more than
Mm.
the Lord. Yeah, you are. It's called money or people who have money. That's who you bow to. I'm like, I am? Yeah, you are. And when I realized that I had an idol worship problem, I realized, okay, well, what am I going to do about it? So I took $500 out of a debit or checking account that I really didn't have the money to do. And we walked into Dallas, where we were living at the time, and we gave it to a stranger. You just gave it away. And that was our way of smashing our idol. And I said, I'm not going to let money dictate the state of my heart anymore. Not. I'm not going to let a customer who can or cannot help me get my heart to change and become anxious and worried anymore. Not doing it. Because the Lord is my rock. He's my foundation. In him I can trust. In him I am abiding. In him is all things. He is provision itself. I can partake of him and feast on him and get lost in him. And I know everything's gonna be just, dandy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I found that like as I've done that and like really taken the idol worship out of my life, which I think is what these addicted hustlers are. They're idol worshipers and they don't even realize it.
Mm.
And then you put your trust in the Lord and lean not unto your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him. He will direct your paths. And I'm like, oh, dude, I heard that verse when I was 16 and I'm like 39 and I'm still trying to figure this out. Well, the stakes are higher. There's more going on, right? Yeah. You're not just going to grow and, you have to mature into the things that you've been entrusted.
Mhm.
And so as I've encountered God more in my life, he's he's shown me that as I trust him, he's able to entrust more to me.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
that means you will be tested to have to trust, which means things are going to get a little dicey a few times, like all the time, maybe.
Yeah.
And then you grow into it. And I think that, you know, I feel like there's a moment. I'm not saying I'm like crushing it and every single day, but I feel like I could be like, hey, don't let your heart be troubled, brother. Like you're gonna be okay. And I'm like, yep, I believe that. Where before I'd be like, no, 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 you don't understand. We're not gonna make payroll. Or, if we don't make a sale, I would just like I would be living in like more anxiety than I even do.
Mhm.
Um, that's not peace.
Yeah.
That's not peace. If peace comes from once you having a good month financially, or peace comes from once you hit your goal, if peace comes from once you've achieved your goal and success and you have a certain amount of worldly like leverage, then you don't have peace in the Lord. You have an idol.
Mm, mm. Wow. That's good. Lots of good things there. One of the things the Lord's been showing me lately is the difference between, having a good mindset and being rooted in God's heart set. And that, we can shift our mindset and say things and think things, but if our heart is in the wrong spot, like you talked about money, the root of evil, or root of money is where the evil comes. It's not the money, it's the root of it. And that comes from our hearts. And you talked about, all the provisions are available. Well, do we really feel that? So many people are chasing after gifts, they're chasing after money, they're chasing after business, they're chasing after platforms, whatever. But do you recognize that everything is already in the Father's heart? Everything is already inside of us, and so we have access to it. And I love how you put that about, if you're not just operating in that peace, you're running after idols, and it's so true. It's so true. And I love that you've built this culture of your family, of your business. You built, the sales transformational group. And you talk a lot about mindset and integrity, but what do you feel like makes your culture that you're building with the Lord and through your business and in your home, what makes it different than other things out there?
Oh man. Ah, I don't know. I don't spend a ton of time out in the industry, like looking at my competitors too much, but you know, I think that, those who are believers who become customers can feel the Lord and all that we're doing. Like they're like, dude, this is good. Like this is a culture we can get behind. Some people don't even know. Like they don't know. We've had times where we've gone into some like exercises on like personal goals and whys, and people were crying and people were like, dude, they were never the same, and not the good way. Like they were like locked in after that. Like something happened. They like quit sales. And so
Wow.
um that happens too. It's not like, dude, maybe the sales isn't for you, dude. Like sales may not be for you. I don't know. I think that we have a unique way of like a concoction of like integrity, good culture, developing people, family support, and then like this background of sports, which lends itself to creating that space to be competitive and being free to be competitive.
Mhm.
And I think the thing that I like, hey, you're a son, you're a daughter. I don't preach like crazy from my stage. Like I don't go like too hard. Um, I like these kind of podcasts because I can just let it fully riff and say like what I would say to my friends at the church. So, because I trust your audience are believers, so I like that. Um, we have Jewish people, we have spiritual people, we have all kinds of non you know mature Christians in our customer base. I think that what we've done is we tried to like create a sales training culture that comes from the inside out because I have performed as an athlete and then performed as a business person without the security of the identity that I know is who is true. And then once the identity became more secure and then I performed from that place, then there was sustainable growth. There was ongoing rivers of living water. There was life. There wasn't ups and downs, depression and highs and lows. And I think that um that this is that's not necessarily like a kingdom business message where we're like, all right, well, you're a son and a daughter of God, and now that you're in this course, you're gonna go sell from that place. We're just more like, hey, let's make sure you separate your identity from your role. Make sure that you know who you are and that who you are is good and that you can accept and love yourself. And then when we talk about this sales role, we're just like looking at the role itself and being objective and saying, how can we make the role better? And if you can separate your value and do your personal value from your role, you can take feedback better. And then you also won't let your head get too big if you have a really good month or two because your value of your personal value and in your sales career isn't inflating you. And then now you're like walking around with such an ego. It's like, wait, what if we just separated those things and you as an identity, your identity itself is beautiful, it's valuable, it's awesome. And you have security. If you had no sales role or nothing in your life, you still know you're valuable. Now from that place, let's go sell and let's look objectively at your sales career and look at all the assessment results and all the deficiencies and all the areas for improvement. And when we apply ourselves to those areas, then we're going to be a walking, valuable human being doing something well in the marketplace and selling well and helping homeowners and building owners with their services that they're needing. And you're going to make good money and you're going to be able to have a good life. So I think that like a lot of sales training companies aren't going to go that deep into that place. They're just going to be like, you need to sell more. You need to have a sick car. You need to get a six pack. You need to do all those things. I like six packs. I like those things, but um, I definitely am a little less on the material side, more on physical body being a temple. I'm trying to lean into that. You know, we have this shirt, dumbbells and deals. It's kind of fun. It's like a little culture. Like, hey, we're working out, we're closing deals. A lot of fun. Um, that's one little moniker in our world. But you know, I've got 6 kids, and I'm trying to be as physically fit as I can. But I'm not, you know, I'm not like on TRT, and I'm not willing to cross some lines just to look a particular way, you know?
No, that's really good, and I love how you started this off, of I'm not really paying attention to many other, market things out there, and I think that's so amazing because the biggest way that comparison comes in and, defeats us is that when we are trying to find the comparisons out there, and one of the things that the Lord told me, a couple weeks ago, I think, when I was doing a coaching call, and it just came out of me, and they asked me, "What's your unique value proposition for, who you are and what you do in the coaching and speaking?" And I said, "I don't know anybody like me, so I don't have anybody to compare to it." And it was like one of these mindset shifts of like, "Oh, wow. Like if I view myself, uniquely and creatively made, then man, God made me the way that he made me special." And, when you bring a culture into that, it's important that we understand that, dude, you're always discipling people. Whether you're discipling people into the kingdom of heaven or you're discipling people who are already in the kingdom of heaven. Either way, you're bringing people in or you're discipling people that are already in there. And so we don't always have to use the Christianese words and, speaking it out and all that kind of stuff. It's a lifestyle. And I see you doing that, and that's, one of the things that drew me to reaching out to you about being on this show.
So this is a fingerprint, right?
Yeah.
And to your point earlier, like you said this, like nobody has your fingerprint or mine. It's unique to you and to me. Is that kind of wild? Like out of the billions of people that ever exist on this planet, like everybody's fingerprint's different.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so crazy. So, but what happens if you were to take a copy of this on like a printer, right? It gets a little bit like less the same, and then it's just like you keep copying and copying and copy, and then all of a sudden it's you can barely recognize it. And I think that comparison is a thief of joy. Is that like the scripture? I think is the move where compared is a thief of joy or something like that. Yeah, man, it sure is. Like I think for one, like I found myself comparing myself to a few other entrepreneurs, influencers, salespeople, and it got me in a bad spot for sure. And I've done that, because I'm a competitive guy too. I like to win. I mean, I hate to lose, and but even competing in a competing can be a problem too. Just like the whole idea of compete, like being competitive is there could be problems with that. There's a heavenly way to compete that I'm still trying to figure out and like nail because I don't think it's not that clear biblically to compete. Because at the end of the day, like if it's about giving God the glory. So like how do we live our lives in such a way that gives him glory? In competition, we often want to give ourselves glory because we work so hard to beat somebody else. Um anyway, in business, I think that there's a beautiful mindset where you're so consumed with just following the call of God on how you're to go about doing your thing that if somebody else is succeeding, you don't get jealous of that and angry, but you're like happy for them because they're doing it their way. And for them to follow, like for them to, you got to first off believe that God's got enough for you, right? Got enough for all. And if you have a lack, like a scarcity mindset, you're going to start to feel anxious about other people entering your space. I've dealt with that. I was like one of the first guys doing this. There's like a lot more now. And like the next one that I knew that I mentored or they were a customer and popped up and started doing what I'm doing, I got so mad. I was so mad. Anyway, I'm veering off course here, but yeah, um, definitely got to focus on the call of God in our lives. And, I think that we're all unique. And if somebody's copying you, like they're missing out on who they are. I'm glad that you inspired them, but like the reality is, um, they're not going to deliver what you're delivering if it's who you are. There's going to be a trying to deliver something else, right? So it's like it's got to be, the founder is such an important part of this business. So anyway,
Yeah. I love that, it sounds like, the whole basis of things is built on the character, built on integrity, built on your values. And so how do you recommend people align the whole sales process along with that to make sure it does fit those values?
yeah. So I think the first thing is if you sell a service that is really helping people, start there. If you really believe that it's helping people, that's super important. You have to be sold first. Um, we focus on mostly like home and commercial services. So like roofing, HVAC, plumbing, electrical, landscaping, outdoor living, painting. Those are our customers. So um, everybody needs what they have. So everybody's going to need it. So there's not a lot of like problems selling to them. However, we want to still sell value at a good margin because it's everybody's, here to make money. And you should be able to do so and charge a good value for it. So I think there's a balance of not being the most expensive kind of gouging kind of people, which I'm not a big fan of, but I do believe in selling at a high margin that the market will bear and and having sales excellence because at the end of the day, dude, you put up somebody on a to do a gospel presentation. You have one person who knows how to do it, and they get people up to the altars, and other people who have never really done it. Who you want producing like the evangelistic efforts for your church? The guy or girl who knows how to get those people to the front of the room, right?
Mhm, mhm.
That's it. That's a skill. I think that sales is a gift and a skill. I think there's a bit of giftedness to it, but I think sales people can be developed and be trained. And it's not magic. It's a process. Sales is a process. And, when people learn what sales is and they learn how to structure their conversations in such a way where we hit certain milestones, those milestones support our ability to help convert them to a customer who is glad to purchase what we have offering to solve a problem or help them fulfill a desire. I'm a big fan of that. And I focus on industries that sell something that is a need. I personally have to sell a transformation. People aren't calling me left and right saying we know we need sales training. Like they're calling somebody if they have a roof leak, like they know they have a roof leak. I have to do a bit of inspiring and vision casting and helping them see an outcome and moving them from current state to desired state or a new state in order for them to buy. But it's still within the definition of selling that, you just have to know how to navigate. So I've seen some people who are not very extroverted. They're more introverted, but they're just detailed and they want to have a better income opportunity that do really well in sales because sales is a process and it's more about discipline and consistency than it is about pure character gifts and pure, it's like the tortoise and the hare. You can have somebody who's really, really flamboyant, talkative, and they can be crazy on discipline and they're all over the place. You can have somebody who just steady as she goes, boom, boom, every day, showing up, doing the behaviors, following the process, and they'll win.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good to recognize, the whole aspects of sales and the heart of it, really is the motivation that should be behind it, and I love that you've kind of laid that out for us, but I also love one of the things is, you did baseball, you loved baseball, and baseball is really your roots, and it kinda transformed into some of your sales coaching, and so you've put together this framework, and I'd love for you to dive into it a little bit.
Yeah. So baseline selling is I'm actually not the founder of it. My mentor Dave Curlin is, and I'm the only like there's like 4 or 5 coaches that are licensed to use it. I'm the only one in all the trades that use it. So Um, and it's great. Like, I love it. I'm like, when we met, it was like match made in heaven. So he's amazing. He's in his 60s, big baseball fan. So basically, it's a milestone centric sales process laid across the base paths. So I think home to first is the motion of either getting an inbound lead or an outbound activity where there's a conversation held around a pain point or a problem. It's between sales rep or CSR, inside sales rep, and prospect, suspect. Conversations held, we schedule an appointment. Now you're on first base. First base is where you have an in-person or virtually scheduled appointment with a prospect and somebody who could potentially, be helped by you. And so that's where the sales rep hits certain milestones. Some of the milestones we teach are to, build some rapport, lower resistance, set an agenda. All right. So you set an agenda. Now you're taking control of the sales process. You're asking questions. Um, and then we want to create some polarity from their way they've done it before or what they tried before and where they want to go. And then what's their compelling reason to buy? Like, what's their emotional, like, compelling reason to buy? During that process, you'll achieve SOB quality, which is your speed on base, which is a baseball thing. Well, it's not really a baseball term. It's made up for the sales process. But somebody who's fast on the base paths, you can't help but pay attention to that person more than anyone else. So what is the sales rep doing to ensure that prospect is paying more attention to them than anyone else?
Mm.
So that's something that needs to occur. So the next thing is what we like to do is quantify the cost of the problem with the prospect before we achieve second base. So what's the cost of not doing it right the first time? What's the cost of not doing it at all? What are the ongoing potential costs that they'll pay for going with the low bid? So what this does is it puts a dollar value to the problem, not just the solution and your estimate, but the not doing it right the first time. Like, what's the consequential cost? So now we're on second base. And then at that point, that's where all the consultative selling has occurred for first to second. That's where we really, discovery.
Mhm.
And then from second to third is more of a checklist. And that's where we get into how committed are they? Who else cares about this? So decision makers, timeline to have this done, decision process and criteria. Now we're on third base. So then we're up from third to home is where we perform our takeoff, estimate, present, close, overcome objections, and then we score. And so that's the process. And it keeps people on track. It keeps it easy to teach and coach and understand. And yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, that's really good, and I love that it's such a visual that as you say it, I'm, like, seeing first base, second base, third base, home. That's great. Um, so where do you feel like the emotional, aspects of sales and the analytical or the logical, reasoning, is that something you play out on each of the calls, between first and second base? Or how do you manage or, you know, guide the conversation accordingly?
Yeah. I mean, it depends on who you're talking to, but I would definitely between first and second is where we want to get the emotional and the cost consequences more analytical. So it marries that logic and emotion in one, phase of the sales process, which
Mhm.
it's both sides. If you're dealing with a CFO, they're gonna be a little less emotional and be more really motivated by the cost. Some people are gonna be just very expressive and have a lot to say, and they care less about the cost, more about feeling understood.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So how long does it normally take? Like, what is an expectation of kinda going from, your first inbound or outbound lead to coming around?
I mean, it depends on how effective you are and how good you are at controlling the conversation or at controlling the conversation.
Mhm.
I would say 45 to 60 minutes would be a good amount of time. I think if you're doing it in 20, you're probably skipping some stuff and not going deep enough.
Yeah, yeah. Do you guys utilize, like, a full sales script? Do you just use bullet points, or what's kinda your methodology?
That was true. We have a script to get them started, but we definitely are more about mastering the milestones so that they can be human beings and athletes and not seem robotic, although I think scripts are really powerful. Um, I think that we want them to learn how to listen and to take the nuance of what they said and know what to do with it.
Hmm. Yeah. No, it's good. That's good. So for somebody that's struggling with sales or sales process or, maybe just stuck and hit a plateau, what would be some advice that you would give to them?
Yeah, I mean, I first off set some goals and just be like, all right, where we want to be, what are we doing, and are we hitting enough of the leading activities and the proposal volume to achieve those goals? And what do we need to do to make this inevitable reality to hit this? I think that just tracking and managing time and doing the right activities is the start. So doing that. And then when it's fun, you find a thing that's working, just do more of that. Just keep going. Just stay right there. Just keep doing it. Boom, boom, pound that drum. And then I would say that, getting a sales process established and trained and then mastering that process is going to take you to the next level.
Yeah.
This would be huge. So that would be what I would, and if you're a founder and you're doing that and you're able to give a lot of your time to that, great. And then you can start to delegate sales and have new sales reps do that too. That would be huge.
Yeah. So good. So good, man. This has been such a great conversation. And I know people are dying to know how they can get a hold of you, how they can stay in touch, how they can follow you. What are some ways that they can get in touch with you?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. I just cleared a bunch of friends on Facebook to try to make some room, so you can hit me up. Instagram, just Ryan Groth, and then LinkedIn. I'm on all the platforms. And I'm not Mr. Viral content guy. I mean, I post occasionally, stories pretty much every day. We have a YouTube channel, Sales Transformation Group YouTube. You can check out as well.
Yeah. Love it. Strongly suggest anybody who's watching this to go and check it out, and we'll have everything in the links below. So Ryan, if there's a Christian entrepreneur, whether they're outward focused Christian with their business or just inward, and they really needed a piece of encouragement to keep on going, to keep moving forward, what's the last thing that you'd like to be able to share with them, and that they would remember you by?
Man, that's a good question. Um, just don't quit. Don't quit. God's with you. You're gonna see miracle after miracle after miracle of Him showing up for you, and that's just a expression of His love for you. And so you can walk confidently, knowing He's with you, knowing you're loved. Um, if you find yourself going through trials, He's doing it because He's preparing you for the next level. Hebrews 12 says He disciplines those He loves. If you're not being disciplined by the Father, you're an illegitimate son, which means He loves you and He's going to put you through the ringer,
Yeah.
in His love and in His kindness. And I think that if you just are willing to include God and trust Him and not go out on your own. Oh, look what Hermosi's doing. Look what that entrepreneur is doing. And you just like follow, copy, paste, try to just charge forward on without the Lord. Like you're going to go and spin yourself in circles for a couple of years, come back around. And then the Lord's going to be right there waiting. And He's like, where'd you go? He's like, I've been here the whole time. Right. I'm just joking. He's always with us everywhere we go. But where I'm going is His way is better. Um, Commit yourself to what the Lord is asking you to do. Be diligent. Uh, don't just wait, sit on the couch and expect gems from heaven to pop up and gold dust bowls and you cash it into the pawn shop and pay for your mortgage. Like, God's gonna bless the work of our hands.
Mhm.
So I just want to encourage you to not quit. Um, let the Lord discipline you. We're full on adults getting disciplined by our Heavenly Father, and it feels weird, but that's totally legit. That's totally Him. And He's torching us some days, just torching us. And then you find this unexpected amount of grace and mercy that just shows up. You're like, wow, how good is He? He's a good God. He loves us. And, He's given us an inheritance, a little slice, a little baby, little part of this earth. Can we go expand the kingdom with Him? It's not, and to think that it should be so big is not up to you. You can't just go, oh, I'm a visionary. I'm going to take over the world and be this, that, and the other thing for this industry. You can have those ambitions and plans all you want, but God's the one who's going to make it real. So, got to know He's still in charge, and he will bless the work of your hands, though. So you can't just sit and do nothing. You can't go around out in front of him. He wants, I think he just wants intimacy and he wants relationship. And I think that's what's going to transform us into the image of Jesus um, is having history with God through actual experience. And I think that's just going to take time. Don't quit. Watch the Lord show up as you put your hands to work. And you're just going to have that much more faith and conviction. And the next time something goes down and it's awry and you're like, whoa, you're not going to get too crazy. You're not going to let your heart be troubled because you've been there before. Wisdom comes from experience. Experience comes from making mistakes. And God be kind. See, so, yeah, you guys got this. And, he's not going to put your name to shame. All right. You won't let the righteous be put to shame. He's not going to let you be put to shame, especially if you're walking upright and integrous in your heart. And he cares about the heart. He's seeking to and fro throughout the earth, seeking hearts that are completely his, and I just want him to stop where I am, where I live, as he's veering and he's looking to and fro and he's like, oh, there's a heart. That's for me. My heart gets so on fire for that. Like I don't want him to pass me by. And I'm not saying he does, but you know what? He is looking for hearts whose hearts are actually his. And he wants them in all spheres. And I think that that's the most important thing is your heart for him, or is it on your own, doing your own thing? Because that's what the enemy wants. I'll say this, like the satanic church, their golden rule, like ours is, love the Lord your God with all your heart, your soul, love your neighbor as yourself, and all these things you'll fulfill the law or whatever, the gospels and all the things. The satanic church is do what thou wilt. It's do what you want. Literally a polar opposite of Christianity, of the faith. Polar opposite. Do what you want to do. Do you, bro? It's about what you want.
Yeah.
YOLO, get it done. Do it. Like that's the opposite life.
Mm.
You are not your own. Your life is not. You are now a love slave to him, and so am I. And there's no better place to be than this, like being used by him. And I just would say, like, you're a founder, you're a stud, you're a rock star. God's made you. You feel it. You feel like you have a vision, you have a belief. Don't be that stallion who can't be broken, that he doesn't really want to ride anymore because you're just like so selfish, so on your own, doing what you want to do. Instead, be that stallion who's like a war horse, who's the slight move, you're there. The slight move, you're there. God's like, I want to go here. Boom, you're there. You're not bucking and say, no, I want to go this way. I just feel like the Lord, if he's patient enough to stay with you and you don't just frustrate him and you go too much on your own, I think he can use this more than we can ask, think, or imagine.
Mm. Yeah, that's great, man. That was a lot right there that hit me deep and was such an encouragement. So for those of you watching, those of you listening that have been grinding, that have been pouring out, that maybe feel overwhelmed, this is an encouragement to, number one, get realigned with who God created you to be. Get realigned with your family. Get realigned with what your heart's desire is. But the second thing that I heard Ryan say just here was surrender. Surrender it all, because it's not yours, it's God's. And if we really believe that the storehouses are filled, that the inheritance is already ours, all we need to do is surrender our initiative and pull down from heaven what is already ours. And so, Ryan, thank you for sharing those things. Thank you for pouring out with us today. And it's been a great having you on here, man.
Thanks, Devin. Appreciate you, man.
All right. For today, school is dismissed. Thanks, guys. Bye.